Good day, everyone. My name is Lin Huynh. I'm the founder and host of Fan to Fame. We're here today with former University of Richmond standout and former New York Jets fullback Stacy Tutt. How you doing, Stacy?
Good, man. I appreciate you for having me on.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate it. How'd you get into football? Because my understanding you're born in Ferrisburg, raised in Tappahannock, Virginia. But how did the game of football start for you?
Yeah, so I kind of grew up where, we kind of played all three major sports, so it'd be, little league football or whatever in the fall, some kind of basketball, whether it be rec league, church league or something in the winter, then baseball in the spring and in the summer. So I just grew up that way. And, just always, I had a ball in my hand of some sort. And so, football wasn't my first love, but it was obviously something that, I was probably better in than, the other two sports. And I kind of had a crossroads when I was in high school, freshman, sophomore year. I wasn't going to play football. I was going to play golf. 97, 98, this is when Tiger,
Right.
was huge, so I'm out there at the golf course, trying to be like Tiger. And I was, all jokes aside, I was literally going to play golf instead of football. And it took the football coach, to come to me a few times, come to my dad about, getting me signed up to play football. So I wasn't even going to play in high school. I was going to play golf instead. So thank goodness
Then they said you're too big for golf. That's what they said.
No, man. No, I was like 175 at that point.
Okay.
So yeah, so I was a little itty bitty guy, but yeah, I put golf down, picked up football. When football was over with, I picked golf back up. So
Okay.
that's my thing right now. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started in football. And I think I played like a defensive end and wide receiver when I was in little league, wearing like a field goal, a kicker face mask.
Yep.
Just terrible. And I literally remember the day that the coach, asked me to be a quarterback. We were laying on the ground. For some reason, we did crunches. I don't know why we did those before practice, but we were doing crunches. And I remember looking up at the sky, holding my face mask, doing crunches. And I go back and I look up and I see my coach standing above me. He takes a football and he puts it in my stomach and he says, "You're gonna be our quarterback." That was literally the day I became quarterback. So started doing that, and
Yeah, no choice.
Yeah, no choice. So
that's pretty cool. You're probably one of the first person, whether it be folks that made it big or folks that I even grew up with, that played golf and football. Usually like basketball and football or track and football. So that's like a 180, I should say. But that's pretty cool. How did the recruiting process go for you? Like Richmond's not too far from Tappahannock. Did you always want to go there for football, or how'd that recruiting process for you?
What actually happened was I remember coming to Richmond on a visit. It was like a day visit when I was a sophomore, and it was just really exposure, a chance for kids to go see campuses and stuff like that. They really, Richmond really wasn't recruiting me. I remember filling out a questionnaire and stuff like that. And that was kind of my first interaction with the Richmond coaches. Fast forward, I actually was going to, I went to UVA. UVA brought me in for a visit. It was the day after my last game senior year. And the coaches told me, athletically, we think you can play here. Mm-hmm. Academically, we think you may struggle a bit. Because I was, I kind of spent my first couple years in high school, trying to be the class clown and stuff like that. Did just enough to get by. And so I kind of put myself in a bad situation there. And at that point, I told myself I was going to play basketball in college. So I actually started going to some showcases, did really well, got some invites. And, Richmond was recruiting me for football at that point. I told them I was going to play basketball in college. And after a showcase, I didn't think I did that well. On the way back home with my dad, I was like, "Dad, I think I want to play football." so I literally called Coach Jeff Hansen up at University of Richmond, who he's there now. Mm-hmm. Called him and said, "Hey, Coach, I want to play football. What do I need to do?" And he said, "For Union." So I'm going to make a call and I'm going to have them contact you. So that was literally the next step, for me playing. If it hadn't been for, Coach Hansen getting me, hooked up with Fork Union, I could have been playing basketball or not even been playing football at that point. I don't know.
That's cool that you had options. I think for some folks, they're just lucky they had an option to play at the next level for one sport, for potential two sports. That's pretty cool and fascinating. And Fort Union, for people that are not from the area, that's a very well-known military school for high school students that's trying to go to the next level. So how was that experience there? Like, what did you learn from there, and how's the competition? Because I'm sure that got you ready for the next level.
Absolutely. So the main thing I needed was discipline.
Right.
I had it in terms of respecting people, but my issue was, knowing when to be serious, when not to be serious.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the same approach that I took on the field or on the basketball court, carrying that over into the classroom. That's what I wasn't doing in high school, which put me in that position. So I just needed the discipline, and you get it fast at Fork Union. Being 18 years old, getting there, and then having to take orders from 14, 15-year-old kids. It'll humble you really quickly. So that was the first best move that was made in terms of my life and my career. Just doing that, because it set me up to a point where when I got to Richmond, I was a 20-year-old freshman. I was more mature than the other freshmen coming in, and I had kind of rewired my brain to not goof off as much and take things serious. And
Right.
being there with, I was on the team with guys at, for instance, Marcus Higgins. He was a former quarterback at UVA. I was there, learned so much just watching him, sharing the field with him. I was with guys that went to Clemson, guys that went to Ohio State, won national championships. So being around that top level talent, also helped me grow into a better player, but also know that, hey, if you work hard, this is what you can turn this into. So that was the best decision I made in terms of furthering my career after high school.
You went to Richmond. I mean, you broke a lot of records. You're probably in the Hall of Fame if you're not already with Richmond. But can you talk about your experience there at Richmond?
Yeah, so not in the Hall of Fame. Still trying to get there.
You're gonna be. You're gonna be.
Still trying to get there, man. I certainly hope so, man. But regardless, it was a great time for me. Coming from a small town, Tappahannock, it was kind of an eye opener for me. Campus kind of fit, my personality. I'm not like a flashy, I don't like to be, seen. I don't care about the spotlight, none of that. Right. So, campus is secluded. It's a small campus. At the time, there was like 4,000 undergrads. So not a lot of people, kind of get to know everybody, which was cool. So going there after spending a year at Fort Union, it kind of helped me put some goals in place for myself. And I wasn't in a rush to get on the field. Some guys feel like they have to prove themselves, their first year in college and say, I'm going to play, I'm going to start, I'm going to do all this. My goals were more like, hey, I want to accomplish this before I step on the field, or, I want to bench this much, or I want to, I'm at 40 to be this time before I get on the field. And, having that red shirt year, being a year older than all the incoming freshmen, I was 21 before I took a snap at Richmond. So that really made a difference. And, after going through some coaching changes, our class, we really just, pulled together. We had created a good culture. And, by the time we were seniors, even though we struggled a little bit the first few years, we pulled everything together and, started to build something that, 3-4 years later turned into a national championship at Richmond. So, very, very proud of that experience.
Right.
Wouldn't change it for the world. And it was just a great school. Great school.
No, absolutely. And fast forward a little bit to the NFL days. So 4 years at Richmond, national championship, you're a quarterback. But then when you went to the NFL, you got picked up by the New York Jets and it transformed you into a fullback. How did that all play out? Was that something that you approached the team about? Is that something that came to you about? And how was that transition?
So if you go back, so I came into Richmond as a quarterback.
Right.
My redshirt freshman year, I was backup quarterback, ended up starting the last game of my redshirt freshman year. Sophomore year, we got a transfer from UVA by the name of Bryson Springer, who was in competition with Matt Schaub at the time. So we ended up transferring to Richmond. Again, great quarterback, great player. We made moves that we thought would, benefit the team the most. So of course you got a guy with, that type of ability, he's going to play. So he played quarterback. I moved to receiver. Started the first, I think, 7 games at receiver. Led the team in receptions or yardage or something. So did what I needed to do. Once he got hurt, went back to quarterback for the last 4 or 5 games or something like that, and then quarterback my junior year. And senior year, started out the first 2 games as a receiver, went back to quarterback. But having that experience as a receiver and my athletic ability, I knew I could catch the ball, whether it be out of slot, split out wide or out of the backfield. I wasn't just a pocket quarterback. I moved a lot, ran the ball a lot. So the athletic ability was there. And when I actually had my pro days, I worked out as quarterback, running back, receiver, and safety. So there were at least 4 or 5 times that I worked out and did all of those skill positions for scouts. And my idea was, if I do enough, if I show my value, somebody's gonna like me, and it only takes a team. So I took the Jets actually brought me in for a visit before the draft. I thought that I was going to get drafted there. Was kind of hurt when I didn't, but immediately after the draft, I got a call from one of the coaches, and he was actually an H-back. It was a guy by the name of Richie Anderson. He played with the Cowboys. Really good player, athletic fullback. So he called me right after the draft and was like, "Hey, we're going to take you as a fullback slash H-back. This is what our plan is for you." So I'm like, "Hey, man, whatever I got to do.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, man." So that's kind of how it started.
That's pretty fascinating. I didn't know you played receiver in college. So you really got a perspective as a quarterback, receiver, running back, anywhere in the backfield. Now you're all there. How was the transition though? Was it a lot harder than you had imagined? Or how did you move with that transition? Because I think a lot of folks, it's like picking a number. Everyone has that number position. Like, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. But for you, how you're open to it. But how was that transition though?
Yeah. So it was really tough. One of the things is, for example, being a quarterback, you play the game in an upright position, standing tall, seeing the field. Well, as a fullback, now it's a lot about leverage, getting lower than the defender, putting your body in the right position for you to be successful, whether it's making a block, getting around the block, whatever the case may be. So, even though I'm athletic, that was something that was totally new to me. So I did struggle a bit in the beginning with, putting my body in bad positions. You got to think about it too. Like, I'm a kid who's never played fullback before. Going against, grown men who are feeding their families.
First time in that position, playing that position in the NFL.
Yeah. So, and this will kind of sum it up for you. So here's a funny story. So our special teams coach was a guy named Mike Westhoff. He had been coaching the league for like 25, 30 years, well known. And my rookie year, we were watching film after practice one day, and I didn't have a good practice. I was kind of, losing my balance. Weight was getting forward, stuff like that. And he said, put on the film, and I kind of got thrown around one play, and he was like, "Damn, Stace, you getting thrown around in there like Nacho Libre." So literally, the coaches would call me Nacho. That was my nickname.
Nacho.
They called me Nacho Libre. So, it was a learning curve, but one thing I think worked in my favor was I worked hard. I was one of the last people off the practice field, and I was going to do whatever I needed to do, to give myself the best chance. So, it was a tough position, but hey, I was willing to take on the challenge. So.
What was your most memorable experience when you reflect back in your career playing with the Jets? Does anything pop out, or whether it be like game day, whether it's something that you like remember someone telling you, or just any moment?
I mean, there's a lot of moments you think about on the field, plays, you know, different things like that, whether it's good or bad. But, you know, people would ask me, you know, for a while, and even some people still ask me, like, do you miss it? And you don't miss the banging, you don't miss the practices, you don't miss the two-a-days.
Right.
What you do miss is the camaraderie, you know, in the locker room.
You hear that a lot from folks that used to play, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's and you don't realize it. It's so hard to find anything like that in the real world away from sports.
Right.
You know, so that's really the biggest thing you miss is just being around the guys, guys from all different backgrounds, different areas, but we literally have one goal in common, and that's to win, work hard, do whatever we have to do to win. So you miss that. You know, once you leave an environment like that, you feel kind of lonely in the real world when it's a little more cutthroat than, you know, a locker room is. So definitely that's the biggest thing I miss, hands down.
No, I can definitely see that. That's the common response I hear from folks when I do ask that question. So really interesting to hear. Growing up, did you have a favorite team? Was it the Washington Redskins at the time, being from Virginia, or was it the Jets by any chance? Like, who'd you go watching, or any key players?
I never had the only favorite team I had in any sport was the Bulls.
MJ,
my first love. Yeah, Jordan, huge Jordan fan. So I love the Bulls. My dad was a Redskins fan, so you know, I think I had like a Redskins starter jacket or something when I was a kid.
That'd be worth a lot of money these days.
It probably would be. But I was never a diehard fan of, you know, any football team.
Right.
I was just always like, you know, players, you know, different, you know, positions, you know, whether it be like, you know, growing up, I loved the way Barry Sanders ran.
Yeah.
And I also loved the way Jerry Rice ran routes, called the ball. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know, liking different players. And, you know, I literally remember on Sundays, you know, watching a football game or watching a basketball game and just, you know, seeing these guys do stuff and then going outside in the yard, you know, trying to do the same thing. And so, yeah, it was, you know, a cool experience to be able to grow up and, you know, have a dream. And even though it was, you know, short-lived and, you know, unfortunately cut short due to injury, the older I get, the more I grow to appreciate that, you know, I actually did something that I wanted to do ever since I was a kid. So, you know, I'm definitely thankful for that. And, you know, hopefully it's something that one day my kids will, you know, learn to appreciate too. So.
Absolutely. I like the way you framed it. I think a lot of times, you know, in the current situation, it's tough, but I think as time goes, it heals everything, right? And you kind of reflect, there's always a positive aspect that comes from it. And being a golfer, it seems like you're an avid golfer. You have the love for it. You mentioned growing up you were, but being a Bulls fan too. If you had to pick one person you had to meet, if you haven't met them yet, I'm just assuming you haven't. Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods, who would you rather meet?
Tiger, man. I mean, I love, you know, Mike is always gonna be my man. But let me tell you something, man.
Tiger's filthy out there in a different way. When you watch him play, it's like magic. You're just like, how did that happen? Like, I watch it all the time. I'm on YouTube just watching video. I'm just like, how do you hook a ball around a tree? It's just, I don't know. The things he does are crazy.
It's insane, man. And, you know, one thing I realized is golf is the hardest sport, man.
Oh, yeah.
The margin of error is so small. And for somebody to be able to do the things that he did and impact the game the way that he has, you know, I mean, you know, I'm gonna be upset. I might miss work for a week when Tiger passes. You know, something, God forbid, you know, something, you know, when he had the accident, I was like, man, if Tiger didn't pull through, man, I might have to shut things down for a couple of weeks. Just you know, you have these icons that you look up to, and you know, Jordan the same way. I mean, impacting the game way beyond basketball, and you know, it's just, you know, admiring all the things that they've done, and you know, Tiger, and you know, specifically just, you know, the people from different backgrounds that he pulled into the game. Like, you didn't see many black golfers, you didn't see many, you know, golfers from, you know, other ethnicities until Tiger came along. And you can look at the numbers now, like the viewing numbers versus the tournament that Tiger's not playing in, and then when he plays, I mean, it's night and day. So,
Absolutely.
Just being able to have that impact on not only a sport but a generation is just amazing, man. I walk 100 miles to go see Tiger right now.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%, man. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a great career, man. You, like you said, you started off as a golfer, had a love for golf, played basketball, played football, had a phenomenal career in Richmond, played in the NFL. What are some advice you share with any young athletes right now that's trying to get to that level?
Yeah. So, which we may talk about it, may not talk about it, but we have myself, my wife, a good friend of mine. We started Impact Sports Academy, and we're working with baseball, baseball, football, a whole bunch of different sports. But
right,
4 days a week, I'm coaching baseball with kids right now, and one of the major things that I tell them is make every rep count. You can't get that rep back, and it all doesn't have to be accomplished in one day. Like, take 10, 15 minutes a day. If you're struggling with something, take 10, 15 minutes a day. Over time, that's going to add up, and you're going to become a better player. I think sometimes, and it happens in life too, sometimes you see this task or this goal or whatever you need to accomplish, and sometimes it looks so big, but if you break it down, like, you really just, do a little bit every day, you'll eventually get to that point.
Right.
And, one of the things you realize as you get a little bit older is that sometimes we can, take time for granted. And if we go back, say, hey man, if I would have done this a little bit more, or if I would have worked at this a little bit more, right now I'd be, better at it than I am. So it's really just, trying to instill in the kids to, work hard, spend a little bit of time every day on whatever it is you want to accomplish, and build those habits, good habits, at a younger age, because you're going to build habits either way, whether they're good or bad. But if you get in a routine of going hard every rep, making every rep count, not taking a play off, it's going to be a lot easier when you get older, when you're faced with adversity and other kids don't know how to handle it. They shut down. If something doesn't go their way, you've already prepared yourself to fight through that. So that's really the biggest thing, just, not taking a day, not taking a practice or a play for granted, just working hard and just doing each play correctly, and just working on those small things that are going to make you a better player overall. So.
No, absolutely. I think a lot of folks, they try to jump ahead of things sometimes and fast forward things, but it's taking those steps, and sometimes it's not like what people say, it's not a race, it's a marathon. So you got to be able to do it for how long, right? It's not how quick you do it, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish it. So absolutely. Well, hey, couple. So I was gonna actually hit on that too, because I know you do a lot of stuff with the community. Anything else you want to share about Impact and other things that you're involved with?
Yeah. So Impact. We actually started this end of February, beginning of March, and initially it was starting as a travel baseball team or baseball program, and the more we started to think about it, it was like, all right, I've got this athletic background, football, whatever, anything with a ball involved, I'm good. I literally used to ride around campus in college with my pool stick, my bowling balls, tennis racket, just in case anything popped off, basketball, whatever, So I'm serious, man. So yeah, I was like, well, it would be foolish to only do something around baseball, so let's kind of broaden the umbrella a little bit. But started with baseball, and the whole idea behind it was to use sports as a platform to be able to, make an impact on kids' lives. I know the impact that my coaches have had on my life along the way. So, if there's, stuff that I can pass on to kids, you never really know what kind of impact or effect you're going to have on kids. But at a young age, that's really the best time to be able to influence them and help them develop good habits. So that's kind of how it started, and it went from baseball to, all right, well, I've got this connection with the NFL. Let's see if we can get NFL flag football in the Richmond area. So that's something that we have starting September 11th. It's going to be out in Ashland,
Okay.
in Hanover County. So that's going to be huge. That's going to be something that we look to continue to do next spring and for years to come. And of course, use that partnership to be able to do other things with the NFL. But got that, some strength training and conditioning with kids. Again, just helping them put those little building blocks together while they're young.
Right.
It's gonna be too late. And the way sports are now, it's kids get pigeonholed into one sport at such an early age. So we're encouraging kids to hey, let's play baseball, let's play flag, let's play basketball, lacrosse, whatever it is you want to do. All those things are gonna help you become a better athlete. You're gonna work different muscles. You're gonna learn how to communicate different ways around different people, and all that stuff's going to help you in the long run. So we're really just all about encouraging kids, teaching them a work ethic that will help them, whether they decide to become an athlete or a teacher or police officer, whatever it is. That's a good thing about sports. A lot of it translates to life. So that was really our goal with starting that. We're just starting, but we're looking to do a lot of things in the community, a lot of community service with our kids, with our athletes, and having them go out and work with different programs, and not only just focus on sports, but also focus on trying to make a difference in the community. So that's kind of our goal with it. We're 6 months in, so there's a lot we want to do. So I'm having to take my advice too. Let's just do a little bit at a time, put those building blocks together, and we really feel good about what we're doing and what the future, holds for us.
That's awesome, man. I'm definitely going to stay locked in and see how things progress. Definitely let me know how I can help in any way. Richmond's not too far away. If you need like a volunteer to help with something or monetary, just let me know. I'd love to help in any way I can, because I definitely believe what people say, right? I mean, kids are the future. I think a lot of times, people just think about other things, but they need a foundation. They need mentors, like someone like you who's been through it. So I love it, man. That's awesome. Before we wrap up, just a couple of things, just some fun facts. So I gotta ask this question. You grew up in Tappahannock. Chris Brown, do you get that question a lot? Did you go to school with Chris Brown? Do you know him? Like, have you been around him? Any stories or anything?
No stories, man. But so he's a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
But
it's a small place though, so I figured everyone knows each other.
Everybody knows each other. So I knew him. His mom was actually one of my teachers at daycare when I was a kid. My sister graduated with his sister. Know his parents and family and stuff like that. So it's kind of one of those things where you have no idea, back then, like what he would become. But I literally remember my senior year of college when he first came out with the Run It.
Right.
You remember that, right? So came out, and I remember telling people, "Oh, he's from Tappahannock." All right, man. He probably ain't gonna do that well. And I mean,
yep.
It is what it is. I don't have to say anything after that.
But, exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's some things I can't agree what he's done, but I mean, just for any industry we're in, being at the age of 17 to like where he's at now, for doing it that long, people are lucky to be around for a couple of years. Like NFL, right? People say like 3 years is like the average. So like we talked about, it's not, how you start, it's how you finish. And so I think it's amazing. I had to bring it up though, because when I think of Tappahannock, he's the first person. And now you're gonna be the second person I definitely think about when I think of Tappahannock. Y'all rapping, man.
Hey, we're trying to get out there and make some moves, man. But I was gonna say, man, you were talking about doing positive things like yourself, man. Thank you for putting together a platform like this, because there's so much filth, so much negativity out there. Easy to find online in any social media outlet, but to have a place that promotes positivity and have people be able to share their story and how they overcame certain adversities. That's gonna hopefully impact a lot of people as well. So thank you for creating something like this to allow kids to tap into.
Absolutely.
And adults.
For sure. I like you said, sports translate not only to like the childhood's growth, but even adults. Like it's things that when I played the sports, I remember and I remind myself. But I think everyone has a story. I think that's why I love networking. I love meeting people. It's just like you don't know what people's been through in life, and you have a great story, man. You've done so well for yourself. You're a golfer. You're playing football at a quarterback, became a fullback, playing the NFL. Not many people can say that, right? So I think it's amazing. And you're from Virginia, so I got to be biased a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
Last question I got to ask, man, because I always think about this. New York City, I love New York, but after like a weekend, I'm done. I think it's the countryside of me because growing up from Winchester, Virginia, and now living here, it's not like New York City. How was that though? Like going to games and practice? Like I feel like I'd be stressed out all the time. Like how was that living up there?
Yeah, man, it was definitely different. I think the one thing that I liked about New York was the food.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mountain time when it comes to food, you get all types of food any time of night.
Right.
So the food, and there's always stuff to do. No matter what time of day.
City don't sleep. That's what they say.
And there's a long list of stuff that I didn't like, starting with traffic, some of the people, a bunch of different stuff.
Sure.
But I'm with you, man. Like I could do a couple days there. But nah, man, it's too fast. People are too rude. Like literally, if you go drive up there, man, like it's like you cross, once you hit Jersey Turnpike, you have to change your mentality to even drive up there.
For sure.
So I'm a little older, man. I'm less aggressive. I'm more laid back. So I'm cool with Virginia, man.
No, I hear you on that. No, that's cool, man. I always wondered about that as folks that played there. I was like, it's a tough place to play any sports there, but just like living there would be tough. So cool to get your perspective on it. With that being said, Stacy, that's all the questions I had lined up. Anything else you want to share just before we wrap up?
Nah, man, I'm good. It was a good time. Thanks for the questions, and hopefully I didn't ramble too much, but hopefully I gave some good advice to someone, and it might help them with something they're going through, or just give them a different perspective on what it's like to have a dream and pursue it and end up reaching it. And the thing about it is 25 at 25 I was done playing football, so I got a whole lot of life left to live, and I don't want to just be known I don't want to be known the rest of my life as a guy that played football, so the same energy and passion I used to reach that goal, now I'm putting into my family and, trying to make this world a better place when I leave, which is, I hope, long time from now. But
you already are, my friend. And I mean, what you guys are doing together for impact, I'm rooting for you guys. We'll definitely be in touch. So thank you so much for being a role model for not only for young children and young athletes, but also for adults like myself. So thanks again.
You need from me, man. I'm here. Thank you.
Appreciate it.